Islam, Peace Hotep, Islam. It's April 30th, 2013. Today's class is entitled Garveyites and Moors. So this class basically is basically a message, right? Personal, impersonal, direct, indirect, but it is going to be a message to all those people out there who call themselves Garveyites, all those people out there who hold up red, black, green flags, all those people out there who push Marcus Garvey, right? We're going to go into Noble Drew Ali and its connection to Marcus Garvey. We're going to go into the Marcus Garvey case. We're going to go into early members of the UNIA and make it clear, make it extremely clear to people who view this that there is most definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, a connection between the Garveyite Pan-African movement, which includes Rastafarians, Black Power and all them, because all those guys rep Garvey, and the Moorish movement founded by Noble Drew Ali, right? The point of doing this, because we've done it already, just to put it on the record, right? As soon as when I nationalized, right? I nationalized as Negro black colored, right? Or I was Negro black colored before I nationalized, Pan-African, all that, right? So when I heard that, Noble Drew Ali said it's imperative for Moors to produce literature, I took it on myself to produce literature in order to present to all Garveyites, Rastafarians, Black nationalists, and Pan-Africans, because those are the schools of thought that I came from. And if I can get this, right, if I can get this, then anybody should be able to get this, right? It's that simple, okay? So the idea is to, again, put it on the record, that there is a connection between the Moors and the Garveyites, all right, which again includes all the other schools of thought, right? It includes all the other schools of thought that push the black, Negro, colored, African perspective. So this was the book that I came out with, first book that I came out with upon proclaiming my nationality, called Nationality, Order of the Day, the Divine Message and Warning, all Garveyites, right? All Garveyites, all Rastafarians, Black nationalists, and Pan-Africans. All right. So before we go there, before we deal with that, let's do our let's get the bills out the way, because you already know how it goes, right? Unfortunately, we have to start with bad news. Fortunately, we have to start with bad news. Oh, you know what? 1 second. All right. So we got to start with bad news. Last week there was a shooting out here, and 20-year-old brother that was part of our part of a program that I used to be involved with in the west end of the city. Brother Quedo Mensa, that we call Kojo, he was killed. You know, usual black on black violence. Police are still searching for the suspect, who they describe as a black man, you know, short black hair, medium build, you know, denationalization process to try to get these people. So this is Brother Kojo, just so you can get his face out there, right? Now he was shot. Personally, you know, I knew the brother, and I don't know, he wasn't really that type of brother, you know, to be involved in those type of stuff. Like, that's just what it is. You know, this is not one of those situations where, you know, somebody's saying, oh yeah, you know, that person should have been involved in that, but, you know, like, he shouldn't have been involved in that. You know, I don't know if it was mistaken identity, if he was set up or whatever, but bottom line is, he wasn't, you know, his frequency, his energy wasn't even on that type of stuff, right? So it's unfortunate, but you know, that's, you know, just like I said in the track on the Iron Sheik mix CD, you know, in the streets of TO, right? Anybody could get it in the streets of TO. You can get it just walking down the street, unfortunately, right? So we want to say, rest in power, rest in peace, rest in Hotep to Brother Kojo. You know, your memory is going to live on and all that, and you know that, you know, all the people who were around and who cared about you or whatever, you know, they're going to miss you dearly. But you know how we do already, we don't mourn and all that stuff, right? That's he's with the ancestors now, and he's going to do more better work. You know, he had his time. Obviously it was his time to go, so, right? You know, he was taken to go do better work on the soul plane. So next thing, wanted to touch briefly, there's a lot more, wanted to touch briefly on a good brother, Jeff Fort, right? The reason why I'm bringing up Jeff Fort, we'll get into that after, but we just want to give a quick, you know, give him a little 5 minutes just to go through some information on Jeff Fort, P Stone Rangers, and L Rukn. Right, all this information that we got is off the internet, so you know, some of it is, you know, divisive, some of it is propaganda, fraud, and all that stuff, but some of it is legit, right? So as a youth, Ford flirted with the struggle for civil rights and black power as Black Stone Ranger, but he also had a predilection toward criminal activity, you know, as we all did. You know, that's nothing new. That's no, you know, everybody one time in their life, you know, whether it was jacking stuff at stores or whatever to go sell, or, you know, gambling, you know, dice, whatever, right? Everybody had this connection to so-called criminal activity, right? The Stones evolved into a secretive, selective L Rukns after Ford emerged from prison in the mid-70s with an orientation toward Islam. L Rukn is an Arabic term that refers to foundation or pillar. Law enforcement didn't relent despite the name change. Prosecutors tried out new war on drugs policies on the L Rukns, and Fort got sent to federal prison yet again in '83. The U.S. military contended that they heard Fort on tape belittle Nation of Islam minister Farrakhan for getting money from Gaddafi. In turn, Fort yearned for some of that Libyan largesse for the L Rukn nation. Farrakhan had received a $5 million loan from Gaddafi in the early 1980s to start a line of black personal hair products, which, you know, now let's just put it out there, you know, I haven't seen any NOI black hair product stuff come out. So we have to wonder, you know, if he did get the 5 mil, what happened to it? You know, what did they do with it? You know, but we see a lot of mosques, and we see people, you know, they have nice suits, and they are, you know, the paper got thicker and all that stuff, but, you know, whatever, right? During the early 1960s, Ford earned the nickname Angel, which we'll go and get into. That's not a nickname, right? For his abilities to solve disputes and form alliances between rangers and other gangs. So clearly, right, they were solving disputes and forming alliances between rangers and other gangs, right? This was what brother or Chief Malik L was doing with the El Rukns. They were solving disputes and forming alliances with other gangs, right? Which means that they were ending black on black crime, right? And there's a reason why they were ending black on black crime, because they were moving towards Islam, right? By the mid-60s, Fort assembled a coalition of 21 gangs with about 5,000 members. He organized the coalition under a governing body called the Main 21, composed of 21 gang leaders or generals. You know, so even though, right, they have, like, now this is information that you could just go online and get, right? But as Moors, we have to decode information that isn't coming from our sources, right? So these so-called you know, gang leaders or generals, right, were organized as a coalition under what they call, right, this is not what he said, this is what they said, right? They call it a governing body. There's only one place, there's only one organization that uses the term of governing body, and that's the Moorish Science Temple, right? Others use it, but they're using it from the perspective of organization. Moors use it as a perspective of government, right? Hence, governing body. All right. The gang also received support from Presbyterian minister Reverend John Fry, who advised Harriston and Fort of how to manage their organization. In 72, Fort and 2 others were convicted of misusing federal funds, and Fort was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Fort served 2 years at the U.S. State Penitentiary and was paroled in 76. During this time at Leavenworth, Fort converted to Islam and assumed the name Prince Malik. After his release from prison in 76, he moved to Milwaukee and joined the Moorish Science Temple. Right? So now, when we deal with activity of the Moors, and you see Moors that are active, and they're active to the degree of ready to die for the movement. One, either they really committed to what Noble Drew Ali brought, or 2, they've been to prison before and they have nothing to lose. So they'll stand for this. They'll rep this harder than anybody else would rep this. This is why when we have, for example, there's members in our temple that, you know, did 4, 5, 6 years in federal prison. And some of those Moors stand up on nationality birthrights without nationality card, without paperwork, just by knowing the law, because they've been run through the system. So being that they run through the system, they already have a perspective of, you know, what it is. But now getting on this information, that perspective is now, you know, it's concrete. Now they really know the fraud that was going on. Before they were to speculate, oh yeah, you know, racism, you know, my lawyer did this and my whatever did that, blah blah. But now that they got on this information now, and now they're going back, they're playing their case back in their head. They're like, okay, well, that's why a lawyer said that. Okay, well, that's why a lawyer did that. Oh, that's why they pulled me out of the thing. And, right? Everything's starting to add up. So when we you know, because people always affiliate, you know, Moorish, active Moors to, you know, or let me say, Moors who come out of the penitentiary, right, or the prison system, and then come to the temple. They always want to connect those Moors to gangs and, you know what I mean, to try to bring down the ranks of the Moors, right? Bring down the temple, when, you know, the temple is the best thing that could happen. Matter of fact, last year we went to the prison, right, for Black History Month, and we presented, you know, to a few prisons out here, right? Went there, fezzed up and all that. You could go talk to Brother Tallahassee, L. Bay. He was there with me, right? So we go there, you know what I mean, do the presentation, you know what I mean. You know, everybody coming up to us, you know, warden coming up, you know, yeah, that was a good job, you know, they need this information. This is a warden talking. Wow. They need this information in the prisons because, you know, we have problems with getting them to, you know, direct their energy towards positivity, whatever. A few weeks ago, same thing coming up, well, not few months ago, for Black History Month this year, we're supposed to go there, you know, fill out the you know, form so you can, you know, clearance, access or whatever. Get a letter from Deputy Warden, one of the prisons. Sorry, you know, we're canceling the event this year, you know, because of, you know, inmates, you know, not being, you know, following the protocol, blah blah. But also, we don't think that we're going to be inviting you guys back to do anything at the prison, because your information is kind of in conflict with the information that the prison is trying to give to the inmates, whatever. So we already know, like, for example, one of the inmates in there, you know, and this is you know, during the presentation, right? You know, we're talking about what type of books you guys have up in here. You know what I mean? And, oh yeah, we got, you know, they got the black books and they got the, you know, whatever. They don't have law dictionaries up in there. They don't have dictionaries. You know, they have paperback dictionaries, abridged dictionaries and all that. And one of the guys, you know, I don't know if he got in trouble or whatever, but he was talking about, you know, yeah, he got some books in the mail, you know, he had to, you know, like he's saying it out, you know, he had to secretly bring in books because, you know, these people don't let us bring in, you know, whatever. And the books that he had some astral projection books.
Wow.
There's a dude locked up, you know, he's doing, I think he was doing like 12, 15 years or something, some robbery conviction or something like that. He has astral projection books up in the prison, right? That he's actually, he's like, in his mind, he's actually, well, yeah, you know, like here's where I am, but, you know, I'm not really here, really, right? Like, I'm out of here, right? This is so-called, you know, dumb nigger or whatever, convict, you know what I'm saying? You know, astral projection, right? So they came out now and they you know, they sent the letter. We'll probably drop that on one class, you know, the letter with them saying that they don't want us to come back there, right? Because of the conflict of the information, right? And again, people are waking up at such an alarming rate right now that they can't stop this.
No.
Right? Like we've already, you know, ever since we, just like we're saying, one of the Moors that was inside, right, doing his bid. When he was inside doing his bid, we were sending him Circle 7 weekly. We were sending him literature, you know, and he's verifying that he's getting it.
Right.
So, you know, between 2008 and when he got out, that was our main, you know, avenue to get Moorish Science Temple of America literature into the prisons, right? And it's verified that it's in there because the person who was in there, he didn't leave with anything. Everybody got to keep what we sent. You know what I mean? So you could imagine the ripple effect, you know, of that pebble being tossed in there, and the ripple effect that's going through guards, wardens, from prison to prison, because they always switch people around to different prisons. You get to take your property when you leave and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? You're going to be strong, right? So, so 76. Back to this. Brother Malik L joined the Moorish Science Temple, right? At that time, Ford renamed Black Pea Stones to El Rukn tribe of the Moorish Science Temple, so-called gang, right? Renamed the gang El Rukn tribe of the Moorish Science Temple, right? In 78, Ford returned to Chicago. In a coup, he replaced the Stones' 21 generals with 5 close allies and renamed the Black Pea Stone Nation to El Rukn. Law enforcement speculated the conversation's motive was to take advantage of restrictions on law enforcement surveillance over religious organizations. So the idea is, he was a, criminal mastermind that said, hey, you know what, it'll be a good idea for us to make our criminal organization a religious organization. That way police can't touch us and whatever, right? It doesn't really go like that. It doesn't go like that. If you're coming onto the Moorish side of things, you're leaving your past behind you. You're not bringing your past to try to use this. Yeah, people do that. It's not,
you gotta be on the right though.
But you gotta be on the right. You know what I mean? You gotta be on the right. Right? During the 70s, the gang trafficking in cocaine and the gang trafficked in cocaine, heroin. In 83, Ford was convicted of drug trafficking charges, sentenced to 13 years in prison, was sent to Federal Correctional Institute at Barstrop, Texas. Ford continued to lead El Rukn through daily phone calls. He ordered members of El Rukn to meet with Libyan officials. Now, why would Libyan officials be meeting with some gang members? Right? This all ties back to Gaddafi, right? Them assassinating him, right? This all goes back to why is he trying to, unify the continent? Why is he buying a satellite so that the continent could have its own telecommunications? You know what I mean? Why is he bringing back the gold standard? Kennedy tried to bring back the gold standard. They assassinated him, right? So this is not some gang-related objective. This is not, some gang members trying to take advantage of, the freedom of religious rights, right? This is an individual recognizing what Noble Drew Ali brought. On top of recognizing what Noble Drew Ali brought, just like Elijah Muhammad was supposed to do, just like Marcus Garvey was supposed to do, just like all these other people were supposed to do, when they get on the information of Noble Drew Ali, you change your tone and you get on nationality, birthrights, and then we move forward from there. Right? We'll get there. Right? The gang agreed to commit. Now this is speculation. This is not right. The gang agreed to commit terrorist acts in the U.S. in exchange for $2.5 million for Libya. Now, right, and remember, this is like 80s, right? So this is 80s. So you're telling me that these guys know that Libya is connecting with El Rukns, right, to come do some terrorist acts in the U.S., and they never went and fought Libya or nothing like that. They never went and bombed them or nothing like that. They never retaliated. They never, put out news bulletin that, like 80s, 83, 84, 85, we were of age to see news and all that stuff. You know what I mean? We would have seen that there's something going on. Some gangbangers in Chicago are meeting with Libya to go bomb the United States. Right? Fraud. All fraud. Right? 87. Ford was tried and convicted for conspiring with Libya to perform acts of domestic terrorism by use of COINTELPRO-type methods. He was sentenced to 80 years imprisonment and transferred to U.S. Prison Marion, the federal supermax prison in Marlin, Illinois. In 88, Ford was also convicted of ordering a murder of a rival gang member and sentenced to 75 years. So 80 years plus 75 years. right? One guy. Because what? Why? Because he was unifying gangs, right? The ones who wanted to come on the straight path,
Yeah.
right? He was directly in contact with officials of nations that knew U.S is a private corporation and they're about to fall, so we need to get ourselves connected with the indigenous people of this land so that we can filter money through them, opposed to through this corporate juggernaut.
He was taking money away from them, basically.
Right? Okay? Anybody could see that. Now, this is another thing that we got to bring up. So if he was sentenced to 80 years in prison for conspiring with Libya, how come Farrakhan is still walking around here? He was conspiring with Libya. He met with Garvey, shook hands and all that, hugged him and all that. How come he didn't get 80 years in prison? That was the same talk they were bringing to Farrakhan. Matter of fact, we just read that Ford was on tape, right? Jeff Ford was on tape belittling Nation of Islam minister Farrakhan for getting money from Gaddafi before he became El Rukn,
Right.
when he was still gangbanger.
So it's the same thing going on.
Right.
He's getting money from Libya. One walks away and one gets
one gets 150 years. One walks away. How come some people get to walk away and some people get 150 years? For the same reason that we always bring up King Alfred Plan and show those 12 organizations that were under 24-hour surveillance 7 days a week and became agents of Rome in order to keep these people black and proud, which is the exact thing that Farrakhan's doing, pushing the black agenda, right? Getting checks to keep people black and proud. And Jeff Fort, Chief Malik, he's doing 150 years on some bogus charges, right? So yesterday, I was having one of those days yesterday where you just want to strangle some people, and then get home, open the mail, and guess who sent a letter to Kudjo Adwo L, to Jeff Fort. This is April 15th, 2013, from Chief Malik L. Right? In the name of the Almighty God Allah, the most gracious and most merciful, Islam, my brother from the MST of A in Canada. Right? So he knows, he obviously knows what's going on. He's not out the loop. This is the El Rukn in prison. Supermax. He knows what's going on in Canaanland. And then there's people in Canaanland. We're trying to get them come some meetings, and they can find reasons why they can't come to meetings. But there's this brother in Supermax prison sending a letter to Grand Sheik in Canaanland. I hope that when this letter reaches you, you're in the best of health and spirit. When this came, that kicked in, because trust me, it was one of those days right there. Right? That naught is not, that power is but illusion, that heaven and earth and hell are not above, around, below, but in, which in the light of night become not, and Allah is all. I wanted to inform you that I received the book and that you sent, and to express my appreciation. It's easy to exercise your body, but it's also imperative to exercise your mind. This is why it's always a pleasure to receive good literature to exercise my mind. The blessing of man, thy eternal part is health, vigor, and proportion. The greatest of these is health. What health is to the body, even that is honest to the soul. Again, I want to thank you for the book. Until next time, Chief Mustafa Malik, Angel, peace and love. Right? So it's clear. It's very clear. Right? It's extremely clear that, you know, Canaanland Moors is doing some work out here. You know what I mean? So we want to send Islam to all the Moors, right? We want to send Islam to all the Moors out there. That's, bless fam, that's continuing to do the work that needs to be done so that we can get the word of the Prophet out.
Yeah,
right?
Nothing but the truth here.
Nothing but the truth.
Straight.
And straight truth. Nothing but the truth. So Islam to all the Canaanland Moors who's been diligent, who's been getting the work done, regardless of whatever obstacles that we've been facing. And Islam to all the Moors out there who have and continue to support Canaanland Moors, even though you're not in Canaanland. Trust me, you're in Canaanland. Because Canaanland is part of the Moorish nation, and the Moorish nation is vast. And there's no boundaries or borders in the Moorish nation. Right? We're just territories. So what I wanted to just put on the record as well is some pictures of just want to put some pictures online for the El Rukns, so people know that, you know, it's not just some fly by night, you know, gang members, blah blah blah. They're actually implementing what Noble Drew Ali said to implement. So this is the logo for the El Rukns, right? El Rukn, and as you can see, they have the scimitar. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice written on the scimitar. Looks very familiar to symbology that you can see on sevensealspublications.com. Right? You see the green star, you see the great seal, right? You see the four quadrants. They're making a claim on everything Moorish. They're making a claim on everything, right? And you know, you have some Moors there put up the Circle 7, some Moors just put up the Fez, some Moors just put up, they're putting up everything. That's nationhood. Like Taj says, show your flag, right? There's another one, right? And even when it was Blackstone, they had the pyramid, right, in the circle, which is really a great seal, right? Okay. There's the God right there in the middle, Chief Malik, and there's some of the brothers standing around him. Right? Notice this brother right here. Show that they're not playing. Right? And not only that, right? There's their temple. Moors, fezzes up. Right? Then there's another picture inside the temple. Moors, fezzes up. So these aren't some gangbangers. These are brothers who decided to take the side of the Prophet and leave the gang crap alone. And they trumped up charges on Chief Malik because he was as the rappers, you know, he was unifying the hood.
Can't have that.
You can't have that. You can't have Bloods and Crips coming together. You know what I mean? No organization amongst, you know, so-called Negro, black, colored people. No way. And on top of that, they want to unite under with some fezzes on and holding up Moorish banners and Moorish names and all that. It ain't happening. Right? It ain't happening. So that was just honors to, you know what I mean, to the, I don't know what to call him, political prisoner, the political prisoner, Chief Malik. And again, go out there, do your own research on Jeff Fort, L. Rukns, Black Pea Stone Rangers, and all that, and you know you'll probably find some more info. Next up, we gotta fly through this stuff. Islam to Brother Amor in Florida. We were talking about this on the weekend. Call of Duty video game.
Yeah. The Army video game.
Yeah, Army video game, first-person video game. You know what I mean? Shoot 'em up, shoot 'em up.
They call it a first-player shooter.
Right.
Shooting game.
Shooting game.
Yeah, it's a first-player shooting game.
Right. Yeah. So this shooting game has Call of Duty World at War is dealing with some Nazi zombie takeover of the planet or something like that, right? And
yes, yeah, in the video game.
And the video game, there's a secondary tactical grenade called the monkey bomb.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. It's called the monkey bomb.
Yeah, the monkey bomb. All right. It was created by maniacal Dr. Richofen, as shown by a document from V. Bush on the Black Ops terminal. It could possibly be made from the monkey that was bugged, Richofen, blah, 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 Call of the Dead. It can only be obtained through the mystery box in Zombies. This weapon is featured in Call of Duty World at War. It reappears in Call of Duty Black Ops, Zombie Maps, Kino, Der Toten 5, Dead Ops Arcade, and Shangri-La. It also appears on the Call of Duty World at War maps available in the Hardened and Prestige editions of Call of Duty Black Ops. Now this is a young brother, so he's a video game player. But then he realized that the monkey bomb, there was a fez on. So this is the monkey bomb that they have in Call of Duty, right? That they're using as the tactical weapon in Call of Duty.
But that's the actual.
Yeah, this is the actual. Yeah,
that's the character picture. Yeah,
this is it right here.
Wow.
This is the monkey bomb. Right.
Put a black fez on.
Yeah, just put it right, and then again, you know, black fez is the law, right? Yeah. Black fez is military. Black fez is the Mufti force, which deals with the security, which, you know, everything ties right in, right? Monkey bomb, right? It's insane, right? Not only that, Assassin's Creed 2, right? So this is another game that the brother plays, you know what I mean? And he just plays video games.
Assassin's Creed is
right?
That's a deep game.
Yeah, right? So Assassin's Creed 2 is a historical action-adventure open-world stealth video game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft for PlayStation 3, Xbox, whatever. The frame of the story is set in the 21st century, with player control protagonist Desmond Miles escaping from Abstergo Industries with an employee, Lucy Stillman, after being forced to relive the genetic memories of ancestral assassin Altair ibn La Ahad through a machine known as Aminus. After escaping from Abstergo, Desmond enters a device which is more advanced than the original Aminus 2.0, relives the genetic memories of ancestral noblemen Ezio Auditor de da Firenze, who lived during the Renaissance period of the 15th and early 16th centuries in Italy. In Assassin's Creed Altar's Chronicles, the year is 1190 and the Third Crusade is engulfing the Holy Land. Crusaders clash with Saracens for control of the Holy City. This is a video game, right?
A crazy video game.
Right?
You see anyone play it, it's
Alessandro de' Medici, July 22nd, 1510 to January 6, 1537, called Il Moro, the Moor, Duke of Pen and also Duke of Florence from 1532, ruler of Florence from 1530 to 1537. Though illegitimate, he was the last member of the senior branch of the Medici to rule Florence and was the first to be hereditary the Duke. And then that's Brother Medici. Right? The reason why we're bringing up Brother Medici, just to put it out there again, right? Let's put it out there again. Don't forget, Black Knight, Martin Lawrence, when they told him that he was from Florence or whatever, he was the Moor in there, right?
Yeah.
And then to tie it in, he's wearing the 5 on his chest, right? He's wearing
The
green,
23.
which represents the star, the green 5-point star, the green 5-point star, and then he's wearing 5 on his chest, right? Jamal Walker, Martin Lawrence, is an everyday slacker with a job at a crummy theme park called Medieval World, which is about to receive big competition from another theme park, Castle World. While cleaning a moat surrounding the park, he finds a medallion in the moat, which he tries to retrieve and gets stuck into the past. He awakens in an alternate universe version of England, 1328, where he is first met by a drunkard named Noti. He then searches for Medieval World, but he finds a castle that he thinks is Castle World. So he decides to check it out. The tenants of the castle believe him to be a French Moor from Normandy, because he tells them he is from Florence and Normandy, a famous intersection in south central Los Angeles. Right?
I remember the movie.
Also, right? So this is a Moor, right? Okay, now this is a Moor, right? A Moor wearing, green shirt, 5-point. Okay. Now on his shoes, he's wearing Pumas.
I was gonna say something about the Pumas.
Right? Okay. How come he's wearing Pumas? Right?
Black cat.
The Beast of Bodmin, also known as the Beast of Bodmin Moor, is a phantom cougar puma wildcat purported to live in Cornwall in the United Kingdom. Bodmin Moor became a center of these sightings, with occasional reports of mutilated, slain livestock. The alleged panther-like cats of the same region come to be popularly known as Beast of Bodmin Moor, right? And then Moor, in that sense, is a tract of land.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
But they have a Moor wearing Pumas.
Yeah. Black cat.
Right? A black cat, and Puma shoes, and the shoes are black or whatever, just to tie in that these people know what the hell they're talking about. Like they're clear with what they're talking about. They're not speculating. They're not just put out a movie Black Knight just because they feel like putting out a movie to make black people laugh.
Yeah. We don't know. Like,
right?
if you're the average person, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
You would look at it and be like, okay, yeah, Martin Lawrence,
just Martin Lawrence in the movie.
Yeah. You wouldn't take the symbolism in. You wouldn't take the green shirt, the number, the shoes, certain things that are in the picture, right? In the image.
Right. All right. Islam to Brother Ketty.
Uh-oh. What's he up to?
So Ketty sent me an email. Another young brother who plays video games.
Okay.
Right? So this right here is the Quran question cover, right? For Moorish Americans. See Noble Jawali holding a sister, right? Noble Jawali holding a sister, 1 foot on the rock of salvation, water in the back, crescent star in the sky and all that, right? Automatic is a video game developed by Pangea Software.
Crazy name.
Yeah. Pangea Software, right? Video game maker. Pangea is their name, right? And their logo is Pangea, and then there's a piece of it that looks like a puzzle piece, and it's like kind of like removed from the thing, right? Right? Pangea Software, and published by Asper Media. The game was released in 2001, and soon afterwards bundled with certain newly released computers. The game was the first Pangea game published, whatever. Automatic, this is the cover of the Automatic video game. So the cover of the Automatic video game is a robot holding a sister.
1 foot forward.
Oh, let's do it this way so you can see both of them together.
1 foot
so you
forward, 1 foot back.
Right. There's Automatic. Right. There's Automatic. Right. Holding a female, and then there's Noble Jawali holding a female. Now, if this is just a coincidence, then you can believe in coincidence if you want to. But we don't believe in coincidence around here. Everything is
There's a-
strategic. Not just doing this just because man wants. They're not
Yeah,
just calling
by
their thing
accident.
Pangea,
By accident.
right?
Shit's not
And then
bad.
putting out a video game called Automatic, and this is the cover of it, right? Somebody's studying more than Negro, black, colored people are studying, right? And using all our stuff against us,
Yeah.
right? So big up
We
to
don't know,
brother,
we just fall
big up to the young Moors
Mm.
for being diligent. You know, brother Ketty and brother Amor. Oh yeah, and Amor is a brother in Florida who called me on the weekend.
I just like how I like what they put at the bottom. Intergalactic adventure for all.
All ages.
If you just listen, like this brother's telling you about it. But no, we gotta play a video game.
Yeah, we gotta play a video game to get the intergalactic story, right? So let's get to what the real deal of today is. The real deal today is to let everybody know that the Garveyites, right? The Garveyites, let's not even say the Garveyites. Marcus Garvey specifically knew about Moors.
He was aware. He was educated.
He was very aware.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, they got him out of the way so they can infuse, sell out Negro leaders to keep pushing the Negro game, because there's no way the conviction, the love, the appreciation that Marcus Garvey had for his people, no way he's gonna meet Noble Drew Ali and not change course. And that's why we showed Brother Malik. That's why we showed Jeff Fort to start. Because if a gangbanger could give up guns and drugs and big money and all that stuff, Marcus Garvey must have been able to give up that label of Negro.
For him to shed something
Like-
shallow or fickle like that.
For him to stay on the Negro game, right? Knowing about Moors, and like again, right? The picture next to Garvey is
Brother in the face.
Deuce Muhammad Ali, right? A Moor from Sudan, who put Garvey on. So that was the
Sudan.
first Moor that, right, connected with Garvey.
This
right?
brother came across to the Americas.
Yeah. He came across to the Americas, and then he met with Marcus Garvey, and Marcus Garvey basically, went under his wing, right? And then we're showing this picture to show you Garvey wearing his fez. You can say whatever they want on his graduation cap, but he's already graduated. Why is he wearing a freaking graduation cap if he's already graduated? He's same thing that you're talking about, symbolism. He's speaking in code to his people who have ears to hear and eyes to see. If you don't, then you're gonna think he's just wearing a graduation cap.
Yeah, that's the thing. The average person will look and be like, "No, there's no way that's a fez," but you're just not really paying attention.
Not paying attention.
Where did this graduation cap come from? Where did this whole, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know what it is.
You know,
know
and
what it is.
if he's studying under Moors, then obviously he's graduated. If he's studying under Moors, right? But not only there that he's connected to Moors, because we're gonna hit all the hot information first, so people can have no
argument
disputes
about-
when we start going into the information to show the connection, right?
Yeah.
So everybody says that this is some fabrication, right? I hear the Garveyites online talk about, oh yeah, this is a fabrication. You know, that's not a real letter. You know, Moors made that letter up to say that Marcus Garvey was visited by Noble Drew Ali when he was in prison in Atlanta, right?
Well, if you go into a jail, it doesn't matter if you're the tenant in the jail or you're the person visiting. The guard is going to say, can you write down such and such information, right? Certain documentation is going to be taken
It's
down.
going to be taken, right? So this picture is October 23rd, 1927, Atlanta, Georgia. Dear wife, I have been to see Mr. Garvey at the federal prison. I will be home Friday or Saturday. Love to all. Front cover of the Prophet's postcard to his wife at that time, Sister Pearl Drew Ali, while at federal prison in Atlanta, Georgia, visiting Marcus Garvey, 1927. The picture is a rendition of the federal prison where Marcus Garvey was housed. Right? So there's the postcard picture. And there's the postcard with the writing, dear wife, the stuff that we just read, right? In Noble Drew Ali's handwriting. But they're going to say that that's fraud. Okay, so let's just say that's fraud. We're going to put that away. We're not going to pay attention to that, right? Noble Drew Ali returns after long visit to the south. The Chicago Defender newspaper, 1921 to 1967, November 19th, 1927. Pro request historical newspapers, the Chicago Defender, page 5. So you can go check the date, call up the Chicago Defender, all you Garveyites out there, right?
Yeah.
Who want to say that there's no connection between Moors and Noble Drew Ali, and when we're running the fraud, we're making up postcards and all that stuff. November 29th, 1927, Chicago Defender, National Edition newspaper. Noble Drew Ali, prophet, founder, and head of the Moorish National Divine Movement. Oh, notice Chicago Defender didn't call the Moorish movement a cult or nothing like that, right? They called Noble Drew Ali a prophet, right? They didn't call him a cult leader, like you hear some people talking about, yeah, he's a cult leader or whatever, right? They called him a prophet, right? And founder of the Moorish National Divine Movement. Has returned to the city after an extended visit in the south. Prophet Ali motored from Chicago to Atlanta, Georgia, where he spent a few hours visiting Marcus Garvey in the federal prison. Mr. Garvey was very much pleased with the splendid, uplifting work being done by the Moorish Divine Movement. The organization has launched a drive for more members, persons desirous of learning of the great work that is being done, and are asked to write Prophet Drew Ali right? The organization has launched a drive for more members. So the Moorish Science Temple has launched a drive for more members.
Yeah.
Persons desirous of learning of the great work that is being done are asked to write Prophet Noble Drew Ali. This is written after the part of Marcus Garvey visiting, or Marcus Garvey being visited by Noble Drew Ali, and Marcus Garvey being very much pleased with the splendid uplifting work being done by the Moorish Divine Movement.
So if you were not a Moor or didn't associate yourself with Moors,
this was the time to do that.
You wouldn't be impressed with their work.
Right.
If I didn't advocate them, if I wasn't one of them.
You wouldn't even care, which is what people say. People say, oh, Marcus Garvey didn't care about the Moors because he never mentioned them in none of his literature. Yeah, because right after, right, let's go to the records, right? So this was November 19th, 1927, right? In November 18th, a day before this article, 1927, President Calvin Coolidge commutes Marcus Garvey's sentence.
Say that again.
In 1927, November 18th, one day before this article in Chicago Defender newspaper.
Yeah.
President Coolidge commuted Marcus Garvey's sentence. What is commutation? In criminal law, change, substitution. The substitution of one punishment for another after conviction of the party subject to it. The change of a punishment from a greater to a less, as from hanging to imprisonment. Commutation of a punishment is not a conditional pardon, but the substitution of a lower for a higher grade of punishment, and is presumed to be for the culprit's benefit. So what happened is that instead of Marcus Garvey staying in Atlanta and being nationalized in prison and being let go because he's Moorish national and they can't hold him because he's a member of the Moorish Divine National Movement, not only that, because of his religious right, because of his religious rights and him being forerunner of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he would have to be released from prison. But instead of letting that happen, Calvin Coolidge, who was an enemy of Noble Drew Ali already, commutes Garvey's sentence for him to be deported. And they claim, again, because of the commutation, they claim that the change of a punishment from a greater to a lesser, the greater punishment was him doing his time
in the box
in
Georgia,
right, in Georgia, right. For a lesser,
you can be out of the box.
You can be out of the box, but you're off the continent. You need to go back to Yard.
Yeah. Gone back. That's it.
Move.
Right.
Just move.
Yeah. Right. You have to go back to Yard. Right. And then he went back to Yard.
But deporting him doesn't make him not guilty.
Right. Exactly.
You understand that?
Right.
Deportation is still a part of the charge of guilt.
Right.
And if he kept him in America, he would have claimed nationality.
Which
and would have walked out the front door.
No,
right?
no. Again, this is why the day after, Chicago Defender,
what?
like who? Chicago Defender,
yeah.
because they defend stuff.
Yes.
Right.
They're a certain type of publication.
They're a certain level of publication.
Mm-hmm.
They put out the article that Marcus Garvey was very much pleased with splendid uplifting work being done by the Moorish Divine National Movement. So if you're a Garveyite in 1927 or whatever, right? Right day before this article, your leader gets deported, right? Day after, article comes out. Next day, article comes out saying that, well, you know, Garvey was pleased with the works of the Moorish Divine National Movement. Okay, well, your founder just got deported. So what are they telling you? You know what I mean? Like logically, if you have no founder right now, your founder is gone, he's deported, you can't be in contact with him, he's out of the country.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What's the next move?
Join the Moors.
Like logically, the next move, go join the Moorish movement.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a
Garvey movement because they took him away. So if we get technical, I can't have it without Garvey being there.
You can't have it without Garvey.
In Jamaica they could have it, but
right?
in America we're kind of stuck.
You're stuck, right?
But like you're saying, logically, the next move would be to,
right? But what did they do? They inserted their little agents, right, to keep the Garvey thing going, even though he's not around to defend anything.
Yeah.
Right? Keep the Garvey thing going. Have these people still do the Negro black BS.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Get themselves in deeper water than they were, because, you know, if all these people nationalized at that time, because remember, don't forget, at this time there was no Nation of Islam yet.
So they would have nationalized with the Moors.
Like at this time there was no Nation of Islam yet. There was only NAACP, Moorish movement, UNIA, and UNIA.
What's UNIA stand for again?
Universal Negro Improvement Association. There was UNIA, and let's just get these names right here. First name, Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford.
Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford?
Yeah. Was the first quote-unquote black rabbi in America.
Okay.
And a prominent member of Harlem's black Jews.
Okay.
Right? As composer of many of UNIA's songs,
okay,
Ford co-authored the Universal Ethiopian Anthem with Benjamin Burrell. Ford officially functioned as director of the UNIA Band, Orchestra, Band of the African Legion, and Liberty Hall Choir. Ford was a luminary in Universal Negro Improvement Association. Rabbi Ford offered Hebrew lessons and religious instruction to a number of lay people and clergy in the Harlem area. Ford worked in both Matthew's Commandment Keepers congregation, right? Matthew's Commandments Keepers Congregation and the Moorish Zionist Congregation led by Mordecai Herman in the 1920s. In 1930, he and a small group of black Jews went to Ethiopia where they participated in the coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie, created a school, and acquired 800 acres of land for the purpose of uniting black Jews of the diaspora with their brothers already in Ethiopia. He died there in 1935. Now, they're going to say all this black crap all they want.
Yeah, they're going
Right?
to use the...
But when you look at the picture of the rabbi,
She's not a yarmulke.
he's wearing a Moorish turban,
Yeah.
right? And if you look at the top of the turban, you can see the tassel sticking out right there. So that means he had a fez under the turban, because even back then, you know, you had to hide the fez basically. Because, you know, if you show the fez, people aren't going to get down on what you're doing, which is like what we're dealing with today. People think that we're Masons and all that because you have a fez on. Right? Now, again, we're talking about 1920s up to 1930. We're looking at the Matthew's Commandment Keepers Congregation, Moorish Zionist Jews, right? Which is the black Jews of Harlem, right? So they're really called Moorish Zionist Jews. Black Jews of Harlem is a corruption of Moorish Zionist Jews, right? We're talking about the UNIA, NAACP, Moorish Divine National Movement. That's all that's going on at this time.
20s,
Right? 20s,
30s.
right? Like that's it.
So you have three.
You're easily like you're part of that, right? Everybody knows NAACP is sellouts because that came from the Niagara movement, which was founded by Jews. So European Jews,
I do more research on that.
right? Yeah, right.
Won't get into it now.
So they're
Yeah,
over
the
in the
NCAA
corner, and
the
NCAA
is-
they
you
weren't
already
even
know.
yeah, right.
They're
They're not even
today,
down,
and
right?
you see them on TV.
Right.
They
Okay.
have their award ceremony.
Right.
You know,
So
someone sold
and then we have the Moorish Zionist Jews, right? Who say that they're Moors. You know, there's the picture. Just go Google Moorish Zionist Jews. You'll see the picture, like just like the convention picture, them standing on the steps or whatever, and all that, right? Moorish Zionist Jews. Then you have the Moorish Science Temple of America. They say that they're Moors,
Yeah,
right?
That's their stance.
And then you have the UNIA, right? And then the UNIA is supposed to really be the UMIA, because
because you don't want to use the word N. You don't want to use
right? They came out and said that Garvey was pleased with the works being done by the prophet. So you can say that, yeah, he was nationalized. He was nationalized. And his sellout followers, because again, remember, and don't forget Deuce Muhammad Ali, who was a fez-wearing Moor all the time. Like, he always wears fez, because that's national headwear. Always wears fez, right? And these people are gonna play around when there's documented facts, right?
I don't understand what the big deal is if you say that Garvey was a Moor or...
Because then they're gonna have to give up all their black handouts that they've been getting. They're gonna have to give up all their black whatever that they've been getting from Rome.
Yeah.
That they're cursing Rome out, right? They're cursing Rome out, but then they're getting benefits from Rome. Have their handouts still. When they could just proclaim their nationality, become part of the nation, become part of the Moorish Science Temple. Proclaim your nationality, become part of the nation, and we end all this madness that's going on. Right? All these Garveyites. But what happened? All those Garveyites, they went and jumped onto Nation Islam.
Yeah.
That was the move that they made.
They defected
to
something.
They defected to something. but they actually digressed when they did that move.
Yeah, instead of making the power move, they
making the power move. Yeah, they made the
weak move.
They made the weak move. Right. Another UNIA member, Wentworth Arthur Matthew, founder of Commandment Keepers Congregation in Harlem. Matthew was influenced by the quote-unquote white Jews that he met, and by Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association. One of the accomplishments of Garvey's movement was to strengthen the connection between quote-unquote black Americans and Africa, Ethiopia in particular, and when Matthew learned about Beta Israel, quote-unquote Ethiopian Jews, he identified with them. The congregation is featured in a scene from the 1970 motion picture The Angel Levine, which starred Harry Belafonte and Zero Mostel. Right? And there's the rabbi, or there's Matthew Arthur Wentworth, right? Commandment Keepers Congregation.
In Harlem.
It's not called a black name. It's not called a Negro name, right?
Commandment Keeper
Congregation.
Harlem.
Right?
And no Jewish groups kicked up a dust about this.
Right.
The title of their name or nothing like this.
What are they gonna say when
Yeah.
the real
They're
Jews,
looking at the real deal.
when the real Jews stand up?
Yeah.
What are they gonna say?
Yeah.
They have no
And
claim.
then it doesn't say we're the we're the black congregation or the Negro congregation. It just says Commandment Keepers
Congregation. Right? So we go again, just to put it on the record. Right? Marcus Garvey, Philosophies and Opinions. Marcus Garvey, Philosophies and Opinions. Right? Marcus Garvey's book. And in Marcus Garvey's book, there's a page talking about the case. And then right in here, you can see that it says Marcus Garvey, plaintiff in error, versus United States of America, defendant in error. Right? Now when we go to plaintiff in error, law dictionary, what is error? Error: a mistaken judgment or incorrect belief as to the existence or effect of matters of fact, or a false or mistaken conception or application of the law. Such a mistaken or false conception or application of the law to the facts of a causus will furnish grounds for a review of the proceedings upon a writ of error, a mistake of law, or false or irregular application of it, such as vitiates the proceedings and warrants the reversal of the judgment. Error is also used as an elliptical expression for writ of error, as in saying that error lies, that a judgment may be reversed on error. Right? So Garvey was plaintiff in error. Right?
It's almost like saying like we screwed up before we even went to court. It's kind of like, why did you even go to court for?
Right, because
you
why do you even go?
In error. You wrote in error on the thing.
Yeah, but the error is Garvey. For going to court, at one, having a lawyer, right? Which means that, you know, if you have a lawyer, then you give up jurisdiction to the court.
Yeah.
And two, for going there as Garvey.
Yes, okay.
Which is all part of the conspiracy to deport him. Because if he goes there, Garvey Bay, they don't have any claim against him.
That's simple. So
right?
I'm Garvey Bay.
I'm Garvey Bay, you have no jurisdiction. Simple. Like, and that's it. Case dismissed. Garvey comes back out. He connects with Noble Juali, and it's a whole different story. Because, believe me, they were united. Because Garvey taught nationhood.
Yes.
Right?
Unequivocally.
Like, that was his lesson.
Can't argue that.
Nationhood. But he was trying to do it in the Negro thing.
Yeah.
Or was it agents? Because everything that we hear about UNIA, you know, that's not Garvey. We have philosophies and opinions and all that we can use as a reference to say that, okay, yeah, that's Garvey because his wife put out, you know, the book and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, why are you guys talking about Negroes? When his whole demonstration is, you know, well, you go back to Africa. Okay, well, if you have to go back to Africa, and if Africa and all that is the mindset, why are you calling yourself Negro still?
Yeah.
Why isn't your organization at least called African?
Yeah, at least.
Like there's something there's stories that aren't being told. There's an oddness that's clear.
And the man's smart
right?
enough. He's intelligent enough.
Intelligent enough. Right?
So these little things.
But let's go to why plaintiff in error in the case.
Yeah,
right?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Right? Dred Scott case, 1857.
1857.
So since 1857, we knew about the concept of being in error. Right? So Judge Taney first argued that Scott could not sue in federal court because he was not a citizen of the United States. So one error. Right? You're not a citizen, you know, Garvey, so you can't talk about nothing around here about calling anybody out because you're not a citizen of this corporation. So you can't talk about that, right? But remember, in there they said United States of America. So they're not even talking about they're not even talking about U.S. when they were going against Garvey.
No.
Right? They're actually talking about the United States of America. Right? But again, if he's calling himself Garvey, he's not identifying what jurisdiction of the United States of America are you claiming to be a citizen of.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he's not even claiming to be a citizen of the United States of America because he's saying that he came from Africa. It's in all the literature and all that. Africa is mentioned. Never once he mentioned, oh yeah, this is my land. I'm American. No. So obviously you're not from here, so you have no claim to over here. Right? Taney said that no black person, slave or free,
doesn't matter.
No black person, slave or free. So that means when they make those talks about free blacks,
it's impossible.
That's a fraud because you can't be a free black.
It's an oxymoron.
Right?
It's a contradiction.
Right? No black person, slave or free, could be a citizen. Taney wrote, the question is simply this: can a Negro whose ancestors were imported into this country and sold as slaves become a member of the political community formed and brought into existence by the Constitution of the United States? Taney answered his own question. We think they are not included and were not intended to be included under the word citizens in the Constitution. Rather, Taney asserted that at the time the Constitution was written, blacks were considered as a subordinate and inferior class of beings who had been subjugated by the dominant race and, whether emancipated or not, had no rights or privilege but such as those who held the power and the government might choose to grant them. According to Taney's opinion, African Americans were beings of an inferior order, so far inferior that they had no rights, which the white man was bound to respect. And when the Negro, black, colored, African, whatever community go to this case, they always point to this racist judge. Oh yeah, he's racist because he didn't want slaves to be free and they wanted. No, plaintiff in error, because you can't be Scott talking about you're free from slavery. You're Scott. You can't be Garvey talking about you're independent. You know, well, I have a black Starliner and I have, you know what I mean, all these organizations and businesses to help, you know, Negro people, whatever. What are you talking about? You know, if your brief says James in it and your name's not James, obviously those aren't your briefs. Take them off right now and give James back his briefs. Simple as that. Right? Simple as that.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just and that's how basic the lesson is. Let's go back to kindergarten, and when you go home and your mom going through the bag, taking out the bag, and you have, you know, Tommy's hat. Why do you have Tommy's hat for?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. This is not your hat. Why you bring home Tommy's hat? right? Where's your hat at?
Yeah.
Well, me and Tommy switch hat, but
Why?
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're supposed to have your own stuff.
You are supposed to have your own stuff.
When you come home, you're supposed to have your stuff.
Your stuff.
And you pull out next thing, lunchbox. Like, why you have Frank's lunchbox?
Traded lunches.
Well, we trade lunch on lunch. Okay, but so you didn't get the lunchbox? Like, I just bought that lunchbox for you yesterday. You know what I mean? Frank just look at this lunchbox, right? And think about the lunchbox that I gave you.
Yeah.
And now Frank has your lunchbox, the new lunchbox I just bought yesterday, and you have his 50-year-old hand-me-down lunchbox. Right? The same thing with the name. Because, go back to the article, Garvey told the Garveyites. Because remember, the newspaper is public record.
Yes. A newspaper is public record.
It's public record. No different than proclaim your nationality, put it in the paper.
Yeah.
That's why because I got that lesson. That's why when they came to me, when we were in the news, it's Cujo, Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple.
Yeah.
I don't call myself a straw man name or European name.
Yeah.
When you're asking me about Moors.
Yeah.
But I got that lesson. Like, I was given that lesson personally by the Grand Sheiks that brought us in.
Yeah.
That if you, because trust me, it's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen, and they're gonna try to pull you in.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't even do the attach L to your name that you were born with. Don't even go there.
Yeah. Don't even come with that one.
Don't even come with that one. You better come with a name. Like, right now, think about it. Think about it right now. A name that doesn't have no European ties. Because once you have a European tie, they got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Remember we used to have Heritage Minute. Remember we used to have Heritage Minute on TV?
Right. Yeah.
And there's one when the English, they bring in some Irish kids in a court, and they go say your name, and the Irish girl says her name. He says, okay, nope, now you're getting an English name. Just changes the name. Like, no, that's not your name. This is your name now.
This is your name now.
That's where you're going. That's it. You know what I mean? Wow.
Right? So, teaching of the master teachers. Right? Garvey and Noble Drew Ali. Right? Garvey founded the UNIA, talked about Africa for Africans, self-sufficiency, unity, black nationalism, back to Africa, Declaration of Rights of Negro peoples of the world. Noble Drew Ali founded the Moorish Science Temple of America, taught nationality and birthrights, principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice that were aboriginal to North America, South America, Central America, the adjoining islands, and had a divine constitution and bylaws. Right?
Yeah.
Like, all these things are relative.
Yeah.
Right? All the teachings are relative. Right? Noble Drew Ali came out in the Circle 7, the end of time and fulfilling of the prophecies. Right? The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was divinely prepared in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them that the great wrath which is sure to come upon earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be brought by Jesus. In these modern days there came a forerunner who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to the earth, right? And we already know, right? How come Garveyites and all these people who say that they rep Garvey so hard and they love Garvey, how come they don't talk about this quote? This is a Marcus Garvey quote.
Go ahead, let's hear.
The Negro is crying out for a Muhammad, a prophet who will bring him the Quran of economic and intelligent warfare. Now, this is Garvey. Why would he say something like that?
Yeah.
Why would he make that statement if he didn't know about Noble Drew Ali? If he didn't know that Noble Drew Ali is a prophet, if he didn't have a nationality card, because our nationality card tells you, right? Nationality card tells you,
More
right?
Queens on your nationality card.
We honor all divine prophets: Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius. Right? So he had to have a nationality card to know that the Negro is crying out for a Muhammad, because he's talking about his time.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the Negro is crying out for a Muhammad, a prophet who will bring him the Quran of economic, and obviously he's not talking about Muhammad.
He's not, no.
Right?
He's not talking
and he's
about
not
Muhammad.
talking about the Quran of Mecca.
No, yeah, and he's not talking about like the book with
The right.
be good
Yeah, right?
versus bad.
He's not talking about
He's
that.
not talking about that.
Right? Okay. Alim Bey broke down, right? If you go watch the Alim Bey, if you go watch the Alim Bey Skype that we did, right? All these Garveyites repping this flag that they say is a flag when it's really a banner, red, black, green banner, right? They're repping this red, black, green banner
Like it's a flag.
like it's a flag, but it's a banner, right? The Moroccan flag is a red flag with a green star outlined in black. So that's a red, black, green flag.
Yeah.
That's a real flag
Yeah. Yeah.
with the same colors as the UNIA banner. Come back again to Chicago Defender. You know, I'm very pleased. You know, you think he didn't see the Moroccan flag and say, yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, that's
This color's in it, this color, that color.
the colors that we use for the UNIA are in the Moroccan flag.
Coincidence?
You know what I mean? Right? Like, right? But if the man was deported a day before that article, and then that article comes out a day after he's deported, right? And he's not in the country anymore, the only logical thing for Garveyites to do is to get down what Noble Drew Ali brought.
Yeah.
Because everything is relative. Right? Everything is relative. There's no hidden, you know what I mean, like conspiracy or like everything is simple. It's basic. It's right there. Right? Comparison in the teachings. Right? Marcus Garvey. Right? This is Marcus Garvey talking. Mob violence and injustice never helped a race or nation. And because of this knowledge as gathered from the events of all ages, we as a people in this new age desire to love all mankind. Not in a social sense, but keeping with the divine injunction, man, love thy brother. Right? Man, love thy brother.
You ain't gotta like him, but you gotta love him.
Right? So we go to the Holy Quran again. Right? That Garvey said, we're waiting for a Muhammad to come and bring us the Quran. Right? Page 43. Page 43. The Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Right? The Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Right? So nobody can say that while Garvey was in prison, sitting there, right? Because remember, Noble Drew Ali went to see him in October.
Yes, October 23rd,
right?
1970.
Okay, so if Noble Drew Ali went to see him in October, that means he had from October for November to study whatever Noble Drew Ali brought him. Pretty sure when Noble Drew Ali went to check him, he took him the 101 questionnaire. He took him the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple and whatever other literature, maybe like Moorish Guide newspapers or whatever, because that's the prophet. Nobody's not telling him, oh, we can't accept these because there's staples in it or whatever like that. So, Marcus Garvey might try to kill himself with the staples or whatever, right? Yeah. Everything was given to Garvey, right? That's why they deported him ASAP. ASAP, right? Commute your sentence and get him on the boat, like get him out of here, right?
Because I was going to ask, how long does a normal deportation take? You know what I mean? This seems like it's pretty fast.
It's rather fast. You know what I mean?
Honestly, like, right? So even when the courts decide to deport you, we don't do it tomorrow.
We don't.
We're still gonna hold you for a while.
At least
And we
to
gotta
get
do
the
some
papers
paperwork
and
and, you know
all
what I
that
mean?
stuff.
There's some people in
They
the
just bought
back
this
of-
man a ticket and put him on a boat. And they put him on a boat that went to Panama first, right?
with no
And then from Panama, it went to Jamaica.
with the police escort or no police because
Oh, that part we don't know.
yeah, like they just put like, you know,
But-
here
but-
we put a police escort if we're gonna
Right,
deport
if we're
you,
going to
right?
deport you, yeah.
I'm not just gonna put you on
Yeah,
a plane
on a
with
plane
civilians-
just because
with civilians
yeah.
and just let you okay.
let you go.
No.
Right? Because I mean, I'm sure he could have got off in Panama. Right? And those are like, you know, like when we talk about, you know, nobody does ask the $1 million question. Like those are the $1 million questions. Did he have an escort?
Mhm.
If he didn't have an escort, you know, then if he's national, he would have got off in Panama
Mhm.
and came back up here as, you know, Shakur,
Yeah, whatever
it may.
whatever he gave.
Shakur, whatever, but yeah, I'm the reincarnated Marcus Garvey,
Mhm.
and we're now changing the UNIA to Universal Moorish Improvement
yeah.
Association, and you know, all you people need to nationalize right now,
Mhm. Mhm.
right, or get the hell out,
Mhm.
because we don't support Negro black stuff around here,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers. You know, man love thy brother. So that's third line. Right? Third line. We don't read no more. So Garvey knew what was up.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he got the lesson.
Mhm.
Because he put it in the literature.
Mhm.
Right? And then these people are going to say that they have nothing to do with Moors and, you know, they have no connection to Moors, when Marcus Garvey, matter of fact, when you look at Marcus Garvey and Deuce Muhammad Ali, they almost look like twins.
Mhm.
If you check the records,
Mhm. Mhm. They're very similar.
for all we know, they assassinated Deuce Muhammad Ali. And Garvey was still alive. Because there was a big conspiracy in the UNIA about people saying that Deuce Muhammad Ali was trying to take over the UNIA. Right?
Mhm.
About government. Marcus Garvey. Government is not infallible. Government is only an executive control, a centralized authority for the purpose of expressing the will of the people. Before you have a government, you must have the people. Without the people, there can be no government. The government must be, therefore, an expression of the will of the people. Noble Drew Ali on government. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes the man. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. Right? There's a repetitive theme in what they're saying, right? Marcus Garvey, man know thyself. To me, man has no master but God. Man in his authority is a sovereign lord. This is Marcus Garvey words.
Yeah. Say
Why is
the whole
what
thing,
like
repeat
what?
the whole thing again?
To me, man has no master but God.
Mhm.
Man in his authority is a sovereign lord. As for the individual man, so for the individual race. This feeling makes man so courageous, so bold, as to make it impossible for his brother to intrude upon his rights. Noble Drew Ali, man know thyself.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a parallel in the teachings between Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali.
For sure.
Man know thyself. Noble Drew Ali. Know thyself and the pride of his creation. The line uniting divinity and matter, behold a part of Allah himself within thee. Remember thine own dignity, nor dare descend to evil or to meanness. If you are not careful, your own brother will try to put you back in slavery. Right? repetitive theme, right? I wanted to touch on this because there's a lot of people out there that claim you have these black leaders trying to put Noble Drew Ali in the black category. And there's a reading by Noble Drew Ali called Industrious Acts of the Muslims. The Industrious Acts of the Muslims of Northwest, Southwest Africa. Right? And they say in that writing it says, the primitive colors alone were used, says Ford, by the Egyptians, Greeks, and Arabs in the early period of art, and they prevail in the Alhambra wherever an artist has been Arabic or Moorish. When he quotes Ford here, right, NOI and black leaders or whatever, they want to say that he's quoting Ford Muhammad, David Ford, right? Because they're trying to make that tie, because David Ford's older, they're trying to make the tie to say that Noble Drew Ali actually learned from Fard Muhammad,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When in actuality, it was Arnold Ford, the first rabbi, that Noble Drew Ali was quoting. This is who he was quoting in the Industrious Acts of Muslims, right? Because when you do research on this brother, he was extremely studious, right? He was a historian. That's why he can be part of UNIA and Harlem Jews and all Moor Science Temple and all these, because he had intellectual status.
Yeah.
Just like Deuce Muhammad Ali had intellectual status, right? And those people in that time, they were revered because they had a certain degree of knowledge. They had a certain degree of knowledge, and the degree of knowledge that they had wasn't some Negro black colored perspective, right? They knew exactly what they were talking about when they said it, right? And they had and they were able to back up everything that they were saying, right? Again, philosophies and opinions. Right? The Negro is dying out. Now, why would
what is that even
this intelligent individual, right, have a writing called "The Negro is Dying Out," but call his organization Negro? Why would he have this thing called "The Negro is Dying Out," but not change the name of the organization from Negro to something else? If the Negro is dying out, why are you going to call your organization that? Right? Okay. What do you say about the Negro dying out now? The Negro is dying out. Oh, and if anybody has your philosophies and opinions, that's page 101. The Negro is dying out, and he is going to die faster and more rapidly in the next 50 years than he has in the past 300 years. Right? Let's just tie that in with let's keep everything nice and parallel so people are clear that we know what we're talking about. I don't know what other people are talking about, but Garvey knows what he's talking about, and we know what we're talking about. Zero Committee Report. Survey shows that during a 6-year period, production created 9 million objects, or 1,500,000 each year. Production could not dispose of the containers, which proved a bottleneck. However, that was almost 20 years ago. We suggest that vaporization techniques be employed to overcome the production problems inherent in King Alfred. And King Alfred plan is against the minorities, and the minority
That's what I was
is
gonna say. Did you hear the bottleneck part
yeah,
and the
right?
we can't get rid of these fast enough.
Right. So the Negro is dying out, and he's going to die faster and more rapidly in the next 50 years than he has in the past 300 years. All right, and they didn't even get to implementing this yet. The Negro is dying out just. The Negro is dying out just for
war, drugs, disease,
right?
killing each other,
Killing each other,
prison, shooting each other, violence, the drugs, for the money.
dying faster than anybody else on the planet. Have parents burying their children. You know how mad that is? The parents bury their children.
Yeah.
Like parents burying their children.
On the regular.
Like that's
And you use the word children because they're still at child age. They're
yeah, it's not
past a certain
they're
age.
not burying the adults.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right?
It's not like
Burying their own children.
You didn't
adults
get to
bury-
50 and die. No. You
like-
were.
Right? There's only one thing to save the Negro. He's laying it all out right now.
There's only one. So.
Right? There's only one thing to save the Negro, and that is an immediate realization of his own responsibilities. The immediate realization of our own responsibilities is to get out of the dead status that we've been hugging on to, claiming and whatever, saying that that's legit. That's a legit position.
Yeah.
We're the ancient Africans. We're the black founders of whatever. Like, stop it.
And it's that one word that just screws your whole argument.
Your whole everything. Screws your whole life up. Screws your whole spirit up.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, oh yeah, let's say parallel with Noble Juali, so we could find this part right here. Where is it? All right. Unfortunately, we are the most careless and indifferent people in the world. We are shiftless and irresponsible, and that is why we find ourselves the wards, right? The wards of an inherited materialism that has lost its soul and its conscience. Then Noble Juali said, "We, the Moors, are a hard-headed, stiff-necked, mean set of people that never done anything except at the point of a sword." It is strange to hear a Negro leader speak in this strain, as the usual course is flattery. Meaning, our children are dying, getting shot up or whatever, but we're the most safe people because we go to church every Sunday. Jesus loves us or whatever, but my son just got shot up yesterday. Yeah, we're the most safe people on the planet or whatever, but we're getting taxed to death in our own land by foreigners, and we're not even doing nothing about it, right?
Yeah.
Again, it is strange to hear a Negro leader speak on this strain, as the usual course is flattery, but I would not flatter you to save my own life, and that of my own family. There is no value in flattery. Flattery of the Negro for another quarter of a century will mean hell and damnation to the race. How can any Negro leader flatter us about progress and the rest of it when the world is preparing more than ever to bury the entire race? Must I flatter you when England, France, Italy, Belgium, and Spain are all concentrating on robbing every square inch of African territory?
Yeah. You want me to sit here and just say nice words that make you happy.
But key, right? Key. Yeah? But African territory. You can call it a continent.
And that's another, yeah. You have to watch the wording of
If
things.
he's calling,
you have to watch the wording
if
of
he's saying
things.
African, this should say African continent.
Well, the joke is Mr. Garvey, all about going back to Africa. My Black Star liners headed that way to the continent, or so you would think or assume.
Right.
But he said territories.
Must I flatter you when the cry is being loudly raised for a white America, Canada, Australia, and Europe, and a yellow and brown Asia? Must I flatter you when I find all other people preparing themselves for the struggle to survive, and you still smiling, eating, dancing, drinking, and sleeping away your time as if yesterday were the beginning of the age of pleasure? I would rather be dead than be a member of your race without thought of the morrow, for it portends evil to him that thinketh not. Because I cannot flatter you, I am here to tell you emphatically that if we do not seriously reorganize ourselves as a people and face the world with a program of African nationalism, our days in civilization are numbered, and it will be only a question of time when the Negro will be as completely and complacently dead as the North American Indian or the Australian Bushman. How come he didn't talk about the African whatever when he's making comparison to our complacency? If he's so back to Africa, how come his reference was the American Indian
And
and the Australian Bushman?
Aboriginal.
Oh, because he knew and he was taught that we're Aboriginal people, and the only way we're going to get out of this is to return to our Aboriginal status. These philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey, that all these Pan-Africanists, Garveyites, Rastafarians, etc., that rep Garvey, have red, black, green, want to wrap themselves up and rep Garvey, oh yeah, we rep Marcus Garvey or whatever. But you're not reading what the man's saying.
Yeah. He said, I would rather die, and my family too.
I cannot flatter you. I am here to tell you emphatically that if we do not seriously reorganize ourselves as a people and face the world with a program of African nationalism, our days in civilization are numbered.
Our days in
it's like
civilization.
acting as a harbinger, right? He's mixing some of the language to kind of help those who don't quite know to kind of bring it together, right? Africa and nationalism together. Right?
And he's also slapping people in their face with truth, because we've been, like he said,
complacent.
How can any Negro leader flatter us about progress and the rest of it when the world is preparing more than ever to bury the entire race?
The rest of the world has a agenda.
Must I flatter you when I find all other peoples preparing themselves for the struggle to survive, and you, everybody else preparing themselves for the struggle to survive, and you still smiling? Find me a picture of Marcus Garvey smiling. Find me a picture of Noble Drew Ali smiling. But all these black leaders, all they do is skin teeth for pictures. All they do is skin teeth all the time, right? Why they skinning teeth for? Because they're taken care of, or so they think. And King Alfred plan drops and they lose everything that they have, and they're first up in the concentration camps. Smiling, eating,
like gluttonous.
Yeah, just like, you know what I mean? McDonald's, Burger King, Harvey's, you know what I mean? 5 times a day, you know, fast food, you know, just zook it, you know, microwave dinners.
Zook that. One time,
you know what I'm saying?
Don't worry if it gets cold, I'll take that home. Zook that.
Dancing, right? You go to the club.
Like you have no worries. That's the thing. You go to the club 3-4 times a week.
Drinking and sleeping away your time as if yesterday were the beginning of the age of pleasure. Everybody's trying to take us out, and we're sitting here playing around like, you know,
it's cool.
Nothing's wrong.
Don't worry.
It's cool. Right?
Don't worry.
You know, like I'm saying, You man's getting buried, 20 years old,
Yeah.
right? Shot up. And then they're gonna catch the perpetrators, and then those guys are gonna go do some 15 to 20 or whatever, right? Marcus Garvey taught coded nationality. Right?
Marcus Garvey taught coded nationality.
Coded nationality.
So right there, you know it's not going to sound
right.
Certainly, you're going to hear it a certain way, but there's more to it.
There's way more to what he's saying. Right? Philosophies and Opinions, Chapter 4. Within modern times, the Negro race has not had any real statesmen, and the masses of our people have always accepted the intentions and actions of the statesmen and leaders of other races as being directed in our interests as a group in conjunction with the interests of others. Such a feeling on our part caused us to believe that the Constitution of the United States was written for Negroes, as well as the constitutions of England, France, Italy, Germany, and other countries where Negroes happen to have their present domicile either as citizens or subjects. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says Negro. Yeah, he uses the brand. But he made it clear where Negroes have their present domicile.
Present domicile.
Domicile.
Where you live.
Right?
Your domain.
And again, just like we were reading before, if he's talking about domicile, that means he was taught by a Moor, because we don't say address and where you live and whatever. We say domicile. We don't say car, automobile. We say conveyance, because it's all about the language.
Yeah, yeah.
And how what you. But again, people who claim they love Marcus Garvey, right? They probably didn't read this in the damn book. Yeah. They probably didn't read the book. They probably have this just like the Bible. Fresh. It's open on the page. You know what I mean?
My favorite psalm.
Yeah, my favorite psalm.
This makes
right
me feel
here.
the best.
It's my favorite psalm. I'm not even going to read it. I'm just going to open the book, and then the book's just going to read itself. It's just going to.
And God's going to bless
me. Yeah,
you.
God's just going to bless me because I have the book open on my favorite psalm. And I'm not going to put this in the ethers by reading it or thinking it or whatever. It's just it's gonna be because, well,
all by itself,
right?
Just because,
right? We have the powers, right? Okay. Honorable Marcus Garvey on propaganda. My enemies in America have done much to hold me up to public contempt and ridicule, but have failed. They believe that the only resort is to stir. All right, fam, for sure. Islam, brother. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you'll get that rest, bro. All right. Peace. My enemies in America have done much to hold me up to public contempt and ridicule, but have failed. They believe that the only resort is to stir up national prejudice against me, in that I was not born within the borders of the United States of America. I am not in the least concerned about such a propaganda, because I have traveled the length and breadth of America, and I have discovered that among the 15 million of my race, only those who have exploited and lived off the ignorance of the masses are concerned with where I was born. Because Noble Drew Ali taught that being born somewhere doesn't make you a citizen. Come back again to he got the lessons.
Modern day, for Saudi Arabia, certain places over there in that Middle East, doesn't matter if you're born in the country or in the kingdom. Are your parents from here? Or is your lineage from here? I don't care if you're a Filipino nanny who works here and your kid was born here.
Right.
Right? So where you're born, like you're saying, where you're born doesn't make you all the time a citizen.
Right. The masses of the people are looking for leadership. They desire sincere, honest guidance in racial affairs. As proof of this, I may mention that the largest number of members in the in the Universal Negro Improvement Association, of which I am President General, are to be found in America and are native-born Americans. Read that again for all those UNIA Garveyite followers who are talking about go back to the continent where everybody's leaving to come here. As proof of this, I may mention that the largest number of members in the Universal Negro Improvement Association, of which I am President General, are to be found in America and are native-born Americans. Not native-born citizens of the United States, not native-born citizens of the United States of America, not United States of America citizens, native-born Americans. Because when you look up America, it'll tell you that Americans are the Aboriginal, indigenous, copper-tone people that were here before European colonization.
Micmac, Ojibwe, whatever.
All
tribe, that. There's different names, whatever, but you know who's who and what's what.
Right? He knew what was up. Right? He was clear what was up. Very clear what was up.
So a Euro could never really call himself an American.
Never.
You know, just that.
Because that's what they are. They're
Euros.
You're European. You can't make any claim about anything in here other than European.
Even if you're born in this.
Even if you're born here.
Mass.
Even if you're born here. Right?
Well, if being born somewhere doesn't make you a citizen, even if you're all born here, you defect to not being a citizen of here.
Yep. Right? Oh yeah, that's what I was looking for. Right? So when we see the UNIA and the Moorish Science Temple of America, right, we have to see a correlation. This is not a one group and then a one group. These are different aspects of the same national sovereignty. This is different spheres of the Moorish nation. One was a level to bring people into the idea of nationhood, right? And the other one was to solidify that position. Because, like again, we say and we showed Chicago Defender newspaper proving that Garvey and Noble Drew Ali met. Garvey and Noble Drew Ali had some serious plans. As soon as Garvey got out, they were gonna take over this whole hemisphere. Because they knew that one, if you look at Garvey, right? Garvey knew because of W.E. Du Bois and all them that the enemy was on our side. Noble Drew Ali knew the enemy was on our side because of Kirkman Bay and all these other Moors who, you know, were trying to oust him, get him out the way, right? Moors chasing him around with a knife, other Moors just standing there watching when he's getting chased around by assailants. And they're standing there watching.
Madness. Madness.
Right? Right?
Whose team are you on?
Whose team are you on? Right? That's just like the brethren, we have a brethren, Chrissy, right? That got shot up at the Malvern, at the barbershop.
Okay.
When they had it on camera and all that, the guy left the, you know, one guy goes into our barbershop, right? Goes into the back,
past
everybody sitting there, kill a man, and then leave out.
Still let him run
and then you let him run out.
Still.
When everybody knows shotgun only has two shots. Like, you know, shotgun only has two shots.
Yeah. So after you hear bang bang,
after you hear
the threat of the gun,
is void.
Yeah.
Are you just sitting there?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's more.
And that's supposed to be your brethren? Right? That's why I said, you know, Screwface capital full of screwface punks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? two-faced chumps. Can't even trust nobody around here.
That's it.
Right? And this is the exact same lesson, right? The exact same lesson. Even Garvey said, you know, catch me in the whirlwind. Catch me in the whirlwind. Because I'm not even wasting time with you people here.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? You people are doing a disservice to yourself. You don't want national principles back?
Yeah. You don't want real rights?
You don't want real rights and real
liberties.
You know, liberties and these things that you claim that you're entitled to these things.
As long as you make the right claim.
As long as you make the claim. And Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew met. They were about to change the whole hemisphere by combining those two organizations coming together, right?
And because the hemisphere, the world follows.
Automatically, the world's gonna follow.
They follow us when we do shuck and jive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Bojangles, they follow that.
The whole world shuck and jiving right now. Pants off their ass and all that.
Elvis copied the brother there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if the brother was doing something else, then we've been following.
Right. African fundamentalism seeks to emancipate the Negro from the thoughts of others who are encouraging him to act on their opinions and thoughts. Have your own opinion. Any race that has succeeded in the world will tell you that their ability to rise above others and to establish themselves in the world was only made possible through the fact that they thought and acted for themselves. And what's he saying? You know what I mean?
They're selfish.
Like, you have to be selfish. Not only do you have to be selfish, you have to be sincere in your selfishness. Because people respect selfishness if it's done for national pride. Nobody's not cursing out Sri Lankans for shutting down the Gardener.
No.
They respect them for that. They respect them that they took a stand when there was injustices going on in their country that's not even here.
Yeah.
That they stood up in land that's not even theirs.
When they still made a universal protest.
And they made a universal protest in a land that's not even theirs. Straight selfishness. Rush hour? What are you talking about rush hour?
Yeah,
there's people dying in our country right now.
Waiting 1 hour? You're going to wait 2 hours now. 3
right?
hours
3 hours right now. We're shutting down the main artery of this whole city.
Yeah.
And nobody's not going to do nothing about it until something changes where we live. Which is way over there.
Across the pond.
Right? Just on... Where's the paper at? Right? Not only them, right? Watch the Sikhs.
Yeah, I've seen that today. The
watch the Sikhs shutting down the city so they can have their parade, their national parade.
National demonstration.
Right? Wearing the turbans and everything, with the jewel on it and everything.
Please, the brothers, there's another picture.
With the scimitars?
All the brothers line up. The brothers line up with the, and not the little dagger.
Not the little dagger.
Some
the
people
scimitar.
don't even know, people don't even know that the Sikhs have a little dagger and then
the real deal dagger. Right? On the public street, walking down the street with a dagger.
I think they have 9 gurus.
Right?
I think they have 9 gurus in Sikhism or something like that.
But these Negro black colored people, they don't want it. Right? They want to keep playing.
Why am I going to wear an orange turban, yo? I'm not a Sikh.
Like you're not a Sikh. Right?
Turbans are for Sikhs, yo.
Right? So what lessons, this is some of the Arab lessons that was taught to Garvey. Right?
Okay.
So chapter 12. Holy Quran. Behold, a master comes and tells them of hidden wealth, that underneath the rocky coil of carnal things are treasures that no man can count, that in the heart the richest gems abound, that he who wills may open the door and find them all. Right? Behold, a master, adept, right, comes and tells them of hidden wealth, Kundalini energy, right? that lie underneath the rocky coil, the snake tail, you know, the Kundalini energy at the base chakra is coiled downwards, right? Of carnal things, base chakra, carnal, the coil of carnal things, right? So underneath the rocky coil of carnal things, which is the base chakra, there's this energy called Kundalini energy, and the treasures that no man can count, which is the spiritual enlightenment you get when you raise up your chakras, or when you proclaim your nationality, right? Because proclaiming nationality is a divine move.
So there's an element, there's a certain energy.
There's a certain energy in nationality, right? Which is what Garvey knew, right? That in the heart, which is the chakra. So I know Drawley always has pictures like this. And he say, you know, Islam, he always has his hand over his heart.
Chakras, there's one here too,
Okay? Always has his hand over his heart. In the heart, the richest gems abound, that he who wills may open the door and find them all. Right? Oh, and this is another point to put on the record with regard to Deuce Muhammad Ali, Marcus Garvey, the NOI, and the Moorish Science Temple. Every major influential Asiatic that Deuce Muhammad Ali came in contact with started a newspaper.
Wow.
Because literature was Deuce Muhammad Ali's real passion. Right?
So he just innately, that was
just what he did, right? So he had the African Times and Orient Review, right? African Times and Orient Review, Deuce Ali newspaper. The Islamic influence can be seen in Marcus Garvey's motto, one God, one aim, one destiny, which originated with Deuce Muhammad Ali's Universal Islamic Society. So that one God, one aim, one destiny wasn't Marcus Garvey's. He learned that from Deuce Muhammad Ali, who was Sudanese Moor, wore a fez all the time.
Sudanese Moor,
right?
Wore a fez all the time.
One God, one aim, one destiny was preceded by, may our rights proclaim in the most sacred name Allah. So the Garveyite sellouts did is they chopped up the lessons or whatever, and paraphrase what they want, give people this little piece without giving them the full scope or whatever, and then, you know, sat back and thought, you know, oh yeah, you know, we got this. They're not knowing that, you know, Moors are going to be coming who are Garveyites, who are Rastafarians, who are going to be going through all this information or whatever, putting books together, compiling information, organizing things so people could have a clear perspective that, you know, you guys are Moors and you need to stop playing around. Right? Like, you got to stop playing around. Those who want to play, you can play. But those that are serious, leave those jump on songs that you guys are following, right? Get off those bandwagons and get down with the nation. Because we're Moors. And it's like you can't get around it. Or you're going to be up in the, you know, helping out to make concentration camps full.
King Albert.
Right? Ali's social academic commitments were vibratory, being seen in not only our Messiah, Garvey, and his vision, but also in those whom the Messiah was adept to, such as Noble Jew Ali and Elijah Muhammad. Right? As displayed, the UNIA had the Negro World, the MST of A had the Moorish Guide, and the NOI had Muhammad Speaks, which all were used to build a financial foundation and to also market themselves to the public. The Moorish Guide was distributed in more than 15 states from 1926 to 1928. And to close out, Forerunner and Prophet. Point me to a weak nation, and I will show you a people oppressed, abused, taken advantage of by others. Show me a weak race, and I will show you a people reduced to serfdom, peonage, and slavery. Show me a well-organized nation, and I will show you a people and a nation respected. It's Marcus Garvey's words. A noble Drew Ali now. Come, good people, because I, the prophet, am sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery which you have now. We need every one of you who think your situation can be better. This is a field open to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place amongst the affairs of men. So it's very clear, right? Clear without a shadow of a doubt that Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali were connected, right? We already know that, this is gonna have about 50 views next year. Right?
Next year.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how it goes. But our duty as Moors is to put the information out so that the people have the correct concepts so they can put things into perspective and stop playing around. Can't play around anymore. Like Garvey said it. Am I gonna flatter you? You really think that we're gonna flatter you right now?
Oh, you guys are doing well. Don't worry.
Right?
You're doing well. It's okay.
Right?
Keep doing.
Those days are over. Flattery days been over since Garvey said it. That's 1920 something. Right? So it's now or never. Islam to the Moors online for being in class. I'm pretty sure this was a good one. There was a lot more stuff that, due to time, you already know, we can't do it all, but we do the most that we can do. And, one more thing before we even go there. Where's this thing at? Get this on the record. May 31st.
Where's it gonna be?
May 31st, 2013. First Independent Conscious Artist Showcase. That's gonna be, and we're gonna be promoting this. You know what I mean? We just wanted to get the energy out there. You know what I mean? So people know. We're still working on the flyer and all that stuff or whatever. So it's gonna be at the Velvet Lounge, right? Open mind, open mic. Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Holy Temple of Science fundraiser. Featuring Anonymous, Roots in My Art, Savage Intellect, Reda Reds, Delissa, OG Ripper, Iron Sheik, music by KTS Universal Sounds, hosted by Iron Sheik, Moorish MC. And this is gonna be one of those, conscious events. No goons are gonna be on the stage for this one.
Yeah,
right? This is not one of those. This is one of those. You want your mind open?
Yeah.
Hip hop shows.
You come to this one,
right?
This ain't Young Money. This ain't Waka Flocka.
Yeah, this ain't Waka Flocka and Lil Wayne and all these clowns, right? This is the real MCs. All right. So there's gonna be a flyer coming out again, right? We just want to get it on there so people know to expect something coming up at the end of May. All right. So we're gonna close out with the prayer as usual. And again, Islam to all the Moors that's diligent, that's doing their studies. And again, I want to throw a shout out again to Brother Ketty and to Brother Amor, the young Moors that's doing their studying, that's staying diligent, that's taking what the Prophet brought and they're doing with it like way crazier what we would ever do with it, because they're getting it, as seeds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're getting it as oak trees, 500 rings in the trunk. Right? And they're getting it. They're getting it as seeds.
From a seed.
You know what I mean? They're not even sprouting yet.
No.
So the future looks bright. So we're gonna close out with the prayer, Mars, right? 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islam. Hotep, peace and love.